Good evening. Thanks again for joining us for the Everton show. Couple more before Christmas. Joined tonight again, Callum Murnock, Dawn Keogh, with myself, Nick Murnock. Just have a little look around what happened last weekend, what's been buzzing around in the world of football this last few days, and previewing through to Chelsea. So we'll touch on a few subjects that you might find interesting, hopefully. So if we begin, we said on last week's podcast that it was Burnley. It was always going to be scruffy and horrible, and we just hoped we'd get a result. Well, I'm not sure a draw was the result we were looking for, was it?
No, and again, I think touching on the system, the back five, it just doesn't work. We haven't got the personnel for it. For me, I don't understand why he thought that Delph could play left wing back, getting up and down that pitch. It was a hamstring injury waiting to happen. And I think when he went off, we went back to the 4-3-3, it just showed what a different team we can be. I mean, we weren't amazing, but we showed a bit more quality than we have done with the back five. What were your thoughts, Cal?
Yeah, well, he's made a glass him. The first time he sprang the whole game, he gets injured. We're sort of in limbo at the minute, aren't we? He's fluttering between systems. We don't personally think it works, the 5-3-2, especially when he doesn't play the personnel he should. You know, we said it last week on a podcast, Nkunku is a left back. Why are we not playing him? It would be perfect for him in that left wing back role. So yeah, for me, we're sort of in limbo where, yeah, the game was just a bit disappointing again. It was horrible to watch. I thought Burnley just dived like I don't know what. Videos of him telling Sterling to get up any time they felt a bit of contact on the halfway line. They were over on the floor just trying to win. Obviously, free kicks to get themselves up the pitch. So, yeah, it was a nasty game, and I think 1-1 was about right. We didn't do enough to win it once again. Nick?
No, I agree with you, mate. I think, it was just fits and starts again with Everton. There was little patches, we didn't start well. They pressed us well, I thought, early on and made us work. The injury forced a change, which Dawn rightly said, has made a bit of a difference and made us sort of play a little bit differently. We go and get the equaliser, carved them open pretty easy for the equaliser. And I just felt we just choked the second half. I didn't think anyone really got into the game. We didn't really create a great deal. And then, as we said on the podcast last week, I think, we were always fearful that they'd score with just a long ball or a corner into the box, and it nearly happened again, didn't it? But for Pickford making a great save. So, yeah, probably the same. I think, a draw, while it disappointed people, was probably no more than... We didn't deserve much more, I don't think, even though Sigurdsson should have scored at the end.
Yeah, and the thing, the system and the back five, or obviously we say a back four works better, and I think it does. But the way I've always sort of been taught about football is your defence. Obviously, if you don't concede, you don't lose a game, do you? So your defence has got to be your most stable part of the pitch. And we changed that willy-nilly. I know we go to a 5 and then a 4, but even the personnel, I know Holgate's coming back from injury, but for me, if he's just lacking a bit of fitness, play him into fitness. Play him into fitness, but keep it consistent. Well, obviously Seamus isn't there and Dean's out for a while, but play a consistent formation of a set of players at the back. Like Godfrey did quite well, so start him next game. Just don't keep tinkering with it all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't. Sorry, Nick, go on.
No, I was going to say, Cal, I thought your point about Dyche was well made. It was, I quite admire him as a manager, and I liked him as a player. He was a no-nonsense player, and the interview afterwards around him trying to sort of say our goal shouldn't have been allowed because of one of his players was handed off. It actually quite disappointed me a little bit, because you're right, he's chuckling at players throwing himself over, and there he is trying to cry something where I didn't even see anything. I thought the kid just fell over with a slight touch on his back.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a foul, and like a lot of them weren't. They were going over a little bit too easy for me, but I think again, Dawn's making a good point, and we're making it each week on the podcast. We were missing that settle back four. I think we won the first 4 with the same back four. We drew against Liverpool, same back four, so that's 5 games. Then after we had to change it, that was where the defeat started coming in. The only time we've had the back four, which we started the season with, which was obviously Digne, Mina, Keane and Coleman, we've lost to United. That was it. All the other games, it's just constant changes. And I think that for me, I mean, we'll get on to January in a bit. It is, or I don't think that change will come in January, but, you know, we need Seamus Coleman fit. Good player when he's there. We're rightly missing him, but if he's not there, we're falling to bits at the minute. We need someone who can be there and of quality every week. And I think, again, yeah, Dawn, you're completely right. Any good team's got a good defence. It doesn't matter what style of football you play. Liverpool have got a good defence. They play attacking football. You need a good defence. And if we want to finish in the top 7, one clean sheet in 10, 11 games, it isn't good enough.
Absolutely. Is that a lack of leadership? We haven't got a captain, have we? We haven't, you know, okay, Coleman is technically the captain and he can get involved. But the people that have been standing in with the armbands, I haven't seen any of them really influence, get angry, shout, point, just do something that seems to be leading the team. We seem to be a little bit of lack of leadership out there, which might account for the fact that our performances are dipping off in the second halves when there's nobody really to give the team a kick. I mean, do we see leaders in our team at the minute?
I think that's been the problem for years, hasn't it? Like, Jags for me wasn't what I would call an out-and-out captain. I think Seamus, from the softer side of things, is a good captain. He leads by example. Preferably, my preference is someone who's aggressive, like a John Terry kind of figure. I don't think we've got anyone like that. I did enjoy seeing...
Racist.
What?
Racist.
Why?
Not Terry. Oh, we won't get into that.
Oh, yeah, he's a racist.
Cancel Ferdinand programme, yeah. Well, maybe that's for another day, yeah. Yeah, don't be dragging us that.
I mean, it's leadership qualities, then, not him specifically. He's a bit old to come to Everton now anyway. But I did like Holgate having the armbands. I think if it's going to be any of the players that we've got currently, the only player that potentially has leadership qualities could be Alan, but he's knocking on. It needs to be. If we're going to mould someone, for me, it'd be Holgate. But whether he's got the skills to pay the bills, I don't know. What's your thought?
No,
yeah.
fair. Yeah.
I think Coleman's doing a decent job, as you say. He's more of a leader by example, and I'm sure he's a good influence in the dressing room, you know, with standards and whatnot. But it's just a point we've all been making. We need him on the pitch, and they could show him when he's not on the pitch, because Coleman has put in a few below par performances over the last couple of seasons, but this season he's been vital, hasn't he? So yeah, I agree. I think Holgate's one for the future as a captain. I definitely agree. You know, maybe once Coleman steps down in a year or two. Yeah, it's just for me. I don't know what you two think. I think we're struggling to build attacks and sustain them. So by that I mean, like, we're not building from the back very well. We'll get it pinched off as high. When it goes into midfield, the quality of passing has been atrocious. We're playing 5-yard passes out of play. We're playing 10-yard passes over play. We're switching it out of play. So I just think the passing and the play has not been good enough. We're struggling to get into the opponent's half, and then we're struggling to keep them there. We really can't sustain any sort of attack. I don't know what you think, Nick and Dawn.
No, I think you're right. I think Sunday, or the Burnley game, frustrated the life out of me for a lot of those reasons. I think Gomez had probably the worst game I've seen him have in an Everton shirt. He just didn't find any of our players all game, but he wasn't alone. It just wasn't happening. Okay, you know, James put that wonderful ball through to Sigurdsson right at the end, but even he was off form. And I think you're right. I think there's that sort of synergy and confidence that was there in the first 5 games of the season. People are struggling, and people are looking round them and aren't feeling they're getting backed up, and it's affecting the performances, Cal, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm in the bitter barn a bit, to be honest. I mean, I think the system and the 5 versus the 4 makes a difference on what we do in front of it. I think we were a little bit better once we went to a back 4, because I think Alan and Decore need someone else in the middle with them, although whoever's played in there has been below par. I think James, we carry him defensively, he's got to give us more. Yeah, he did that great ball, and really Siggy should have buried it. But the other one for me is Richarlison. Like, we've been missing him because he did that stupid tackle on the derby, and he comes back and he looks like he can't be bothered. Even the commentator said he doesn't look interested, and he doesn't. And if you're missing Dean, if you're missing Seamus, and then you've got James and Richarlison not playing well, then it's difficult, and currently they're unblockable. I'm not sure what you think about that.
Yeah, I think it's limited choice, isn't it? The squad is really thin, and I think it was interesting to pull us slightly in a different direction. We talked last week around people having to go at and questioning Ancelotti and sort of plant pot of the week this week is Danny Murphy, isn't it? Who was on the Match of the Day or whatever saying, Ancelotti can only manage big players and he'll get nothing out of an average Everton team. And I think he will. I just don't think he's got the right players at the minute. I just don't think we are all expecting after 5 wins and the start of the season miracles. And I think we just got to realise that it's a building process, because I think you're right, Dawn, at the moment we've just not got the depth, I don't think.
Well, just going back to Dawn's point, I think Richarlison, I agree, he looked a little bit frustrated on Saturday and things weren't going his way, and he sort of made that mistake when you're playing footy of letting yourself go out the game, getting frustrated, being like, oh, I'm not playing well, not really showing for the ball, as much as he would inside. James was a strange one. I thought his work going back was a little bit better than it has been in recent weeks. And I just think he's shown us at the end why we're carrying him. That ball through to Sigurdsson, it's brilliant. We've got no one else who can do that. He's put it through the legs of the Burnley player. He needs to score that. Let's not let him get away with not getting anything said about that on this podcast. That is why we are carrying him, because if he can produce that, 3 points in it, and he's got the whole goal to aim for, and he's hit the keeper. Yeah.
Well, okay, we touched on it before then. If we're feeling we're still a little threadbare, we're getting up to January, the window opens. You look at the some of the names on the Liverpool Echo and other sites' suggested shopping lists. We've talked about the Isco link. There's Kamara at Rangers being thrown about. Luis Alberto, ex-Liverpool. I'm not sure how some people refer to that one. And then, of course, the Jesse Lingard one doesn't seem to be going away either. So there's some strange names there. I'm not sure any of them jump out at going to make 100% change to me. But what do you think, and what have you heard? We need people, don't we?
Yeah, it was the Dele Alli and Winks one as well, because they're not. I know they're playing now in the Champions League, but they're not making the bench really for league games. So I just think, let's not buy anyone in January. Let's get a few more bodies on the pitch. We need cover of fullbacks, and we need more attacking options, and possibly a good centre midfielder. Loan. Let's just get them on loan. I don't care who it is. Like Dele Alli, I'm not a massive fan of, but he would give us something else. I do like Winks. He would definitely give us something else in the middle. I'm not bothered who, as long as they can come in at the ground running. What about you, Cal?
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think we should spend a penny unless it's really the right player who we've been tracking for a year, 2 years, however long, or he's really recommended by the scouting staff. I think it's a window where there's not much availability, and it can really be detrimental. Look at who our January signings. We signed Tosun 25 million, Walcott 18 million, and they've never hit the ground running. And they're 2 players who were all like, we need to get off the books. So for me, don't spend a penny. We can't panic buy. We are where we are. We've chosen to go into the season with the squad. I think we'll have a better season than last year. If there's any loans, like the players Dawn's mentioned, Dele Alli, Winks, I would definitely snap your hand off for them. Luis Alberto, you mentioned, I think is a good player. He seems like he's had a little bit of a fallout at Lazio because he's been one of their key performers over the past couple of years. I know he's an ex-cop, but he might be a good introduction into the midfield 3, playing a little bit higher. He's a decent little player, but for me, anything on loan which can make an impact on the team, let's go for it. I wouldn't spend a penny. Nick?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree with you, Cal. I mean, I know it's a well-worn phrase, but January isn't the best time. You don't get any bargains in there. I mean, the other one that was sort of thrown around was the lad at Brentford, the striker there. But again, if they're going to let him go, they're going to be wanting stupid money for him. And we've gambled on lower league strikers before that haven't come off. So I agree. I mean, the Lingard one, he's on his last legs of his contract. I think his contract finishes in the summer. So, whether you could get him on loan, I don't know. But I don't know. I've always sort of thought there's a player in there with Jesse Lingard, but whether it's what we need, I don't know. But no, wise words, Cal. I think we utilise loans and hopefully pick up a couple of bargains before we spend bigger in the summer. So as this week sort of moved forward, there's sort of thankfully a vaccine comes along which may get us back in the grounds a little bit quicker. We'll talk about getting back into the grounds in a few minutes, but obviously the big deadline for this weekend from a political point of view is Brexit, and there's been a lot of debate, I think, around sort of if that goes ahead or no Brexit or whatever, there's going to be some impact on our game and sort of knock-ons from there. So had a little read. What do we think around that? There's concerns?
Yeah, for me. Obviously, it's going to be disappointing for clubs and scouting teams and whatnot, because we now can't sign players who are under the age of 16 to come over and play for England. So the likes of, we signed a Swedish lad in the summer who was 16, who's obviously come over to Everton now, and he'll be the last one we'll be able to sign. And it just stops foreign youth players really from coming over into the country. So it's going to have a bit of a detrimental effect on academies. At the minute, I was listening to a podcast with Ian Barrigan, who is he is the Liverpool head scout, and he was mentioning at the minute that their academy, usually with scholars, is 70% foreign and 30% English. So he was just highlighting how well Trent did coming through. So now with the to sign players from abroad, it'll now be 100% English scholars. So the detrimental effect that might have first teams is that players might not come through as much because you've got less talented players, if that makes sense, because you've got whole English players. So for me, I think a point to highlight is maybe the coaching and needs to become better, and the FA needs to somehow get coaches higher qualified so that we can develop more players. So it could have a positive effect. We could have so many more better English players. They're going to have more of an opportunity, the English players now. But again, it could be more detrimental to academies actually bringing players through, because they now won't have them foreign players, which they have done in previous years. You know, a bit like how we've had Mustafi and as such. But yeah, like the Red Liverpool had Shirleva. So that's the real target of what it's hitting.
Well, it'd be interesting. Sorry,
Don. No, go on after you.
I was just going to say, it'd be interesting to see what the FA are coming up with, because they've got a new coaching platform and stuff coming out in March, haven't they? They ditched the old stuff, and part of it's to do the remote coaching, but you'd assume part of it's for Brexit as well. It'll shake up of what's on offer to coaches.
For me, the FA are not very good. They're the words I'll use, I think. For me, they like to keep coaches at a low level so they can have sort of like a ladder, if that makes sense. You know, the UEFA B qualification is hard to come by. You've got a lot of people, a lot of young coaches wanting to go and do it, and there's none to be had. And it's who you know, what not, what you know to get on it. We've got so many less UEFA B, UEFA A licensed coaches from Spain, Germany, etc., countries like that. That's why we don't develop as good of players. You know, I was coaching myself tonight, and I'm not slagging anyone off for having a go, but the education for coaches is terrible. It's like, get your DBS and you can go and coach a kids team. You know, this is where maybe your next best player is coming from. And I was watching a training session where the kids are kicking the ball up against the wall, and the coach is telling them, working on the passing, you can do that at home. Yeah. Do something game related.
Yeah.
But that's just my little nag with it. So I think after Brexit, the FA need to have a think about the coaches and how we can get people higher qualified to make sure these English players now who are getting a better chance are at a better level to give. Because, you know, Birmingham City have just got rid of the academy. It's not worth it to them, you know, and more clubs will do it if players aren't coming through. So that's the worry.
I think in the grassroots thing, like you say, Carl, anyone can sort of go and coach with a badge or without a badge. Now, for me, when I did my first coaching badge, you know, it wasn't rocket science. Anyone could pretty much do it. But the team that I coach are under 14s, and I think we went in last September, and these kids have never been coached. And there's some good players in there, but they've never been coached before, because whoever's been doing the training or whatever, it's just been a kickabout.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you.
One to watch, I think. One we'll keep an eye on it. There's we see what happens over the weekend as to whether there's a Brexit or a no Brexit, or and the fallouts from there. But no, some really good points in that, and hopefully more of an opportunity for younger British players to come through. But we will see. So as we move forward to the weekend, then the Liverpool have already had it. They've had their 2,000 back in last weekend, and Everton entertained Chelsea with 2,000 of our own in there, which for those that will be attending will be an excellent opportunity. For those who will be attending the games afterwards, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be sort of slight change, isn't it? I mean, certainly with Everton have taken the decision that if you're going to attend the game, you have to have had a test, either the Friday or the game day itself, and take proof to the ground. Interestingly, Liverpool decided not to do that. So I don't know what people think. There seems to be a little difference there. Everton are just letting in 2,000 sort of fans and hospitality members, but no hospitality, just hospitality members in seats. Liverpool are still doing an awful lot of their hospitality. So there seems to be two different stances in how you're allowing people back into the grounds. Any views?
I think it's good how for Everton, it's isn't it like the lowest percentage has gone to hospitality in the whole Premier League or something like that. And I think if you work the numbers out, I think based on the number that applied for the first ballot of normal fans, not hospitality, you get to go to 1 in 12 games or something like that. And it's pretty much the same for hospitality. So I think that's really good. You say it's going to be really good on the first night because you're still lucky enough to go, which I want to know how you swindle that one. Like,
Absolutely, yeah. I think it'll be a bit sort of a risk, Cal, of big queues if they're checking every photo ID of everybody to make sure it's the right person with the right ticket, and then checking them on their phone that they've had a test. Is there a bit of a worry, do you think? I mean, we're not really yet sure of details around how they're going to do it yet, are we?
I think the coronavirus test is a little bit far-fetched. I mean, I know they're trying to be ultra safe and fair enough, but you know, it's going to be hard to get a test and be able to turn it around as fast as Everton are wanting to. And you know, if we've got social distance measures in place, it doesn't really matter that much, because if we're socially distanced, we should be okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit far-fetched. I think the club might have got that one a little bit wrong. I think Liverpool have done a little bit better there, but no, everything else they've done well. You know, hospitality stuff and whatnot. They've treated the, you know, regular fans, so to say, or not well-off fans, just as well as the hospitality. So yeah, good on Everton, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's good. Sorry, Nick. I think the checks are good, and I think having the COVID test, it reassures some people that are possibly scared of going back. But like you say, the queues and stuff, the top balcony and up Gladys. Obviously, there's only a few entrances to get in there, so the queues might be bigger. So I think originally they said something like you have to be there an hour before to get in. I think it'll probably be like that.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing is around how long they're going to want people to arrive early, because I know people who went to Tranmere Rovers' return game on Saturday, and some of them were being told they had to be in by 12:15, and there was no facilities. All you could do was pop to the toilet. So I think it'd be interesting to see what Everton do. And I'm not sure I'd want to be sitting around for 2.5 hours before kick-off. But hey, whatever happens. At least we're getting back. So I guess we can feed back next week, can't we? We can either say it was great or we'll have a. I mean, as long as Everton beat Chelsea, it'll be great. I don't care. It'd make me go in 5 hours before if we beat Chelsea. But what do we think of the weekend?
I was just going to say, I'm hoping use of the guinea pigs, and after a few games with fans, and they start opening the bars and stuff. So by the time I get a ticket, you know, all systems go.
Comfy feet, hot dog, and a pint sat on your chin waiting for you. Yeah, absolutely.
In your seat now, there's only 2,000 people.
Yeah.
They like table service and that.
Yeah.
Get the bar workers in. Whatever it's called.
And your ideas into the club. Yeah. So we've got a Chelsea team coming to us top of the league, playing well, driving forward from midfield, quite a creative side. What are we doing? Brings us back to, is it 4 or 5 at the back to against Chelsea?
Good, Carl.
Yeah, I think we'll go 4-3-3. I hope anyway. I'm hoping we'll raise our level to a better team. You know, I think we've been playing a few stalemate games, teams that are a little bit defensive. We've had to go on the front foot. I think Ancelotti will quite like this task of being able to sit in and hit Chelsea on the counter. So I think it's going to suit us. I really do. It's going to make for an interesting game. I think we could score against them most definitely. I think they're playing well at the minute. Timo Werner's due a goal. That was some miss. But every time I've watched him play, he's had a pretty decent game. He's just not found the back of the net. Yeah, they've got some good players. ZH2, Mason Mount, etc. Giroud's in good form. So, yeah, tough game. I think it will suit us, though, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. Dawn?
You say Werner's due a goal, and when anyone's ever on a bad run of form, they always end at Goodison with a nice little change, don't they?
FO.
For me, again, system. I wouldn't go to a back 5 because it doesn't protect us anymore than the back 4. It restricts what we do going forward. It's just the personnel of who they put there. I think Godfrey did all right the other day. For me, I'd have Holgate straight back in there, and then obviously the front 3. We know you'll start there. It's just who gets that other place in midfield, which I'm not too sure on. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Callum. I think Ancelotti will set us up tactically to try and absorb a lot of the Chelsea pressure, because that's the way that Lampard's got them playing, is, you know, Mason Mount and others driving forward with the ball. Their wing backs are good, and they're a strong side, and Giroud in a decent bit of form, but they, like a number of the top sides at the moment, look a little flaky at the back when you get into them. And I think if we can get in and behind them, give DCL half a chance. Yeah, it's, you know, we've seen it done before, haven't we? You know, it's sort of, remember us beating Chelsea with 10 men when, what's he scored? I forgot, my memory's going now. Used to love him, Cal, when he played a couple of games, sold him to Leeds in the end. Jermaine Beckford. Yeah.
Oh, Beckford.
Yeah, scored his one-man show with the run. So we beat them with 10 men after and soaked up the rest of the game. But yeah, loads of good games against Chelsea. I'd like to think we win. My sort of gut is saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. What prediction you going then, Dawn?
I think they'll get beat.
Yeah,
I think they'll get beat. Yeah, I can't see. I just, unless Richarlison and James turn up and do the stuff, I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a score on it. I just think they'll get beat.
It's a decent platform for them, though, isn't it? Sort of an opportunity to sort of big game, big sort of coverage on the TV, and fans back in the ground. If ever they're going to turn it on, some of those players that we're missing the last couple of weeks, then this is it. So, yeah, we can hope. I think we'll give Chelsea a good go. I think I'm with Cal. I think if Ancelotti sets us up properly, we can. So, yeah. So there's sort of 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw as your predictions.
The pressure's on you two being in the ground anyway. If anyone doesn't turn up, it's up to you to give them stick. Because surely they'll be able to hear you, and I'm going to turn the crowd noise off my telly so I can hear you.
Yeah, you'll hear Callum, even if we're sat on the top.
I'll have some moans if they're just, you know, half, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we all, I think it for me, it's just the start of the right way forward. What you want is an Everton win would be brilliant. No real issues. Couple more games with no issue with people not getting ill, no transmission of COVID, and let's see the numbers creep up very quickly after Christmas, and we'll get us all back in the grounds, I think. So we shall see. We shall report back next week, our last one before Christmas. So thank you very much for joining us again. Any comments as ever, please let us know. Keep an eye out. Maybe try and do something a little different for next week. And we'll see you for the last one before Christmas. Thanks to Dawn. Thanks to Callum for the views. We'll see you later. Thank you.